So, another subject matter of interest here is one that I've been dealing with for a number of years, actually. It's a problem that's just kind of cycled around, and I've always kind of felt one way or another it's gonna blow up, to say the least. And that problem is gaming. Quite literally, gaming. Over the years, there's been a lot of argument surrounding gaming. And a lot of these arguments tend to focus on children. And my problem with that is that's a cop-out. Because it's not just children that play games. Gaming has become a rather noteworthy segment of society. At the beginning of the year, when we were talking about stay home, stay safe, I read an article about GameStop and how GameStop legally got recognized as an essential business in some areas. People were staying home. They wanted something to do while they were staying home. People were trying to occupy children as they worked from home. Why not buy your children some gaming systems to occupy them? They're not going to schools. Find something to do with them. And this actually created a problem. A very noteworthy problem. Everybody was talking about Nintendo Switches being sold out everywhere. PlayStation delayed progress on the PlayStation 5. I don't necessarily know that that had anything to do with the pandemic itself, and more to do with the fact they probably weren't able to keep moving forward because of the pandemic. But they delayed progress because PS4 sales shot through the roof. Xbox had a similar experience. But the Nintendo Switch was the one that caught everyone's attention. The price of the Nintendo Switch actually shot up enormously. I heard people complaining about it. I heard people complaining about price gouging of Nintendo Switches because of limited supply due to them all being bought out as people were staying home. But this is different. This is different. This is a different approach to gaming. People were sharing things about how the gamers staying home were now saving lives and the heroes. And just a couple years ago, they were talking about how lazy and worthless and the destruction of civilization. This is the downfall of society. Too many people want to stay home and play games. And I found the change kind of interesting. Because for years, particularly when it involved violent games, Grand Theft Auto had arguments against it for years and years about it's teaching children to be violent. It's teaching teenagers to go to school and get in fights. It's teaching people to hate the police and steal and shoot people. Call of Duty is military propaganda. It's teaching people to like the military and want to join it. that was a more left-wing criticism, but honestly, I never really bought a lot of these arguments. Call of Duty may inspire some people to join the military, but most people that play Call of Duty end up in those player rooms where they're fighting each other. And even the best players end up dead. Even the best players, say you get 20 kills, end up with 2 deaths. The 2 deaths is significant, because what the 2 deaths means is that if you were in the military attempting to do the very thing you did to kill 20 other individuals, you would have lost. You're not a cat. You don't get 9 lives. The first time you died doing what you were doing, and a lot of you probably died a lot before you got good at it. The first time you died, you're dead. That's the real world. In the real world, in the real military, the first time you die, you're dead. A lot of y'all having those unlimited lives are getting misconceived perceptions. You believe you're untouchable because you killed 25 people. Meanwhile, you also died 5 times. And you only managed to kill about 5 people before the first death. So I kind of didn't buy the hype, because I felt like most people would be smart enough to deduct that, hey, I died in this game. If I did this in the real world, I might die in the real world. But you always heard certain games, even the innocent games. Mario, it's teaching children to be violent. They're jumping on people and fighting people. And Mario Kart, they're teaching people to cheat. I don't even know how you deducted that, but okay. But what's crazy is a couple years ago, I addressed this very concern. When it comes to violence and shootings, oh my God, games are causing school shootings. No, they're not. I understand that correlation doesn't mean causation. And as a gamer myself, I also understand that I have a bias. But I shared an article a couple years back that sparked a very interesting discussion, where in terms of the games causing violence, the logic didn't line up. The violent incidents, or the school shootings, or the public displays of aggression were most likely to happen when there wasn't a video game. When there wasn't a violent video game, that's when the violence was most prominent. Somebody in one of the comments mentioned it's a way to vent. That's an argument I'm willing to buy. I'm willing to buy that if you beat the crap out of someone on the street in Grand Theft Auto, you're probably not going to go beat the crap out of someone on the street in your local town. But the perception's kind of changed. as it's kind of come out that more and more people play games, more and more people are interested in games, more and more people participate in games, they've just kind of become more accepted in society. And I think we need to move that direction. Because during this crisis, I played some games. I was one of those people that on my days off would stay home and play some games. Or just drive around in my car and not get out of my car and play some games. I also got out of my car, but that's another discussion entirely for another day. But I joined many people in playing games. And games isn't just the stupid video games. Games is games in general. Mobile apps, I would consider games. A lot of you are addicted to Facebook like it's a game. A lot of you care so much about Twitter, you'd think it was a game. So if we're going to get into the discussion of obsession over a niche, you might want to backpedal your criticism just a little. But this isn't meant to be a negative video. You see, one of the games that I play that is shared on this video is Pokemon Go. A lot of people look at me kind of weird. A lot of people find my behaviors on that particular game to be weird. A lot of people just, they don't get it. They don't understand. We see, I always like going on hikes. I always like going through nature. I always like going on walks. I get if you go on actual walks way out in the middle of nowhere, you're probably gonna cripple yourself in terms of finding Pokemon. But I generally like going out and doing things. There's walking trails here in my city that have been open practically the entire time of the pandemic because they were identified as exercise and essential outdoor exercise. The company that ran them, an organization called Crystal Bridges, is shut down, and as far as I'm aware, they're still not really open, but the trails have always been. They were kind of limiting people and heavily encouraging things along the trails in the middle of it, but the trails themselves never closed. And these trails are great for playing Pokemon if you get good cell service. People often complain about terrible cell service in that area, but that's unrelated. I generally tend to get pretty decent cell service over there. And even from your car driving through the area, you can still play Pokemon Go. There's plenty of parking spaces to stop along and do it, and then put the phone down, back it up, move a little bit further down. Plenty of area to really benefit yourself. But why am I focusing a discussion on Pokemon Go? Because I think the nature of gaming is changing phenomenally. And I want to encourage this behavior. And where I stand politically, I definitely want to encourage things that agree with my mentality, that agree with my philosophy, that show things can be done beneficially. And here lately, Pokemon Go, who changed things enough for people to still enjoy the game without having to leave their homes, noticed that there was some problems. There were some serious problems caused by the pandemic. There were financial issues, people not getting enough food, communities needing help in rebuilding. And the company behind Pokemon Go, Niantic, decided to come out and tell all of the players of Pokemon Go they were going to help sponsor communities. If there was some really beneficial small businesses, etc., charities, whatnot, in your community, you could nominate them to Pokemon Go for some aid. A game, a mobile game, a total mobile app based off of a concept that I think most people my age growing up enjoyed and played. An entire game working with small businesses, communities, private charities, doing their own form of private charities to help rebuild communities. This is a mobile app that has been accused in the past of just cheating people out of money, just screwing people over. I've played this game for a number of years now. I think we're pushing 2. And I think almost everyone that I've played with has at one point or another lost a raid pass. Some just kind of consider it a mechanical flaw of the game sometimes. Sometimes things just don't work out. Sometimes things just don't happen. Those that lose it trying to do the raid and just failing to accomplish it are a little bit less frustrated than those that just straight up lose it. Those that straight up lose it often try to petition to get it back, and I'd say about a 50-50 ratio happens of them getting it back. Now, raid passes are interesting because you can get free ones every single day, but if you want to do more than one raid, you can literally buy those passes. So you're literally putting money into the game knowing that there's a possibility that thing won't work. It either won't give you what you're trying to get, or the pass itself will just fall apart. This is noteworthy. This is noteworthy because this company that people have bitched, moaned, and complained about in the past just came out and tried to help those who give them the money as a give back. You've been there for us over the years. Let us be there for you. That's respectable business practices. That's private entities building communities That's private business helping society. Games are community builders. Literally. And this is coming from an organization that has had probably just as much criticism as your local Target. But they're giving back. They're benefiting. They're helping. They're trying to help people make it through tough times. And that's what GameStop did. That's what GameStop tried to appeal when it got legal essential business status in several areas. They were trying to step in and go, hey, we can help too. So for years and years and years, people demonized this behavior. People tried to make it out to be the enemy and evil. It's teaching children the wrong things. It's causing violence. It's destroying lives. Children aren't getting proper fitness. And this community still came back and helped the larger community. These people still gave what they could to help society. That sounds downright demonic to me. Doesn't it to you? That was obviously sarcasm. But it's noteworthy. Because as we move forward, I don't think people are going to realize who's stepping up, who's helping, and who's caring. And I feel that I need to point that out sometimes. More so than it gets pointed out enough. The federal government cut you a check in the middle of it. There wasn't even enough to do anything. And said, good luck, hope you make it. These private businesses are literally stepping in and saying, you need a hand? We're here to help. Private businesses get a bad rap. Currently, private businesses are getting destroyed. But nobody wants to talk about that. But they often, they're made out to be demonic. They're made out to treat people terribly. And then they do things like this. They turn around and they help. They see that the people who were going to give them money can't even afford to support themselves. They can't even afford to pick themselves up by their bootstraps. To go with the old cliche. To believe in the old statement. I picked myself up by my bootstraps. He realized that these people were kind of screwed. They didn't even have the bootstraps. And the boot had a hole in it. And they went, at bare minimum, here's a strap. This is why I believe in business. This is why I support them. This is why I think moving forward, we need to acknowledge, recognize, and respect them. No, I'm not saying you should just go be all lovey-dovey, and if your employer is an ass that treats you like an ass, you should love every minute of it for them giving you a job. I don't buy that mentality. That's stupid. People that do are stupid. I work a job that pays me pretty decently, but they treat me like absolute shit. Sometimes. And I'm not the only person that says that. There's a handful of people that regularly talk about how much they're treated like shit. And then you try to get something done and it goes nowhere. And I don't even have to hide away, shy away, or not open my mouth. I think the company's well aware that in the past we've had some problems. I've talked to some people and tried to get those problems addressed. But I think that the businesses helping communities more than even the government is right now is commendable, respectable, something we should appreciate, something we should understand. I think way too many people believe that the government is compassionate, and then all this evidence builds that they're not. They're not there to be your nanny. They're not there to be your mommy. They're not there to help. They're there to order. They're there to create order. Whether society needs help in creating order or not, they're there. If private businesses can accomplish what they're accomplishing right now and help build communities while everybody involved gets richer from the experience, I'd say we could do with a little less order, personally. And I think moving forward, a lot more people are going to start seeing that. And I hope that the generally positive reception around organizations like GameStop and companies like Niantic, etc., is understood. I hope people realize that these people don't hate you. They are you. And the longer that you deny, vilify, and cast out, the less you're going to be integrated into modern society. And personally, I think that's a good thing, because it pressures people to think. It pressures people to think. They go back on their behaviors. They go back on their attitudes. They address their prejudices. And they either decide, well, screw it, I don't want to be a part of the community, or they decide, maybe my perceptions were wrong. And that is a good thing. And it's private business, not the government, accomplishing this.